Everyone thinks Vecna is unstoppable, but Season 5 just exposed a fatal flaw that nobody saw coming. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why Vecna's greatest strength might actually be his biggest weakness, and trust me, the answer is going to blow your mind. 11 is the only person who has ever hurt Vecna. Back in 1979, when he was still Henry Creel working as an orderly at Hawkins' lab, 11 used her powers to blast him into another dimension. That's literally how Vecna was created. She sent him to the Upside Down, where he mutated into the monster we know today. So, if a young untrained 11 could do that, imagine what she's capable of now. She's been training for 18 months since Season 4 ended. Her powers are fully restored. She's stronger than she's ever been. And she knows Vecna better than anyone because she's been inside his mind multiple times. In Season 4, 11 entered Max's consciousness to fight Vecna psychically, while Nancy, Steve, and Robin attacked his physical body. She pushed him against a pillar and stopped him from killing Max. But she couldn't finish him off. They were too evenly matched. The problem is that Vecna has also grown stronger. When he was Henry Creel, he could kill his family and dozens of people at Hawkins' lab. Now, after years in the Upside Down absorbing energy and connecting to the hive mind, he's basically a god. 11 can match his power, but she can't overpower him. Every fight ends in a stalemate. He escapes and she exhausts herself trying to stop him. But here's something most people miss. The Duffer Brothers confirmed that Vecna only controls the Upside Down because he's physically inside it, which means 11 could do the same thing. If she went into the Upside Down and stayed there permanently, she could take control of the entire dimension. She could reshape it, close the gates from the inside, and manage it so it never threatens Earth again. This would be the ultimate sacrifice. 11 saves everyone by trapping herself in the Upside Down forever. It's tragic, but it makes sense with her character. In Season 1, she seemingly died killing the Demogorgon. In Season 3, she lost her powers fighting the Mind Flayer. In Season 4, she risked everything to save Max. If staying in the Upside Down is what it takes, 11 would do it without hesitation. Most fans don't want that ending, though. They want her to survive and have a happy life with Mike, Hopper, and Joyce, so 11's powers alone probably won't be enough. She'll need help, which brings us to the next method, Season 5 Episode 4 revealed something game-changing. Will Byers can tap into Vecna's hive mind and use his powers against him. When Vecna taunted Will and sent Demogorgons to kill his friends, Will closed his eyes, thought about happy memories, and took control of 3 Demogorgons at once. He snapped their bones using the exact same technique Vecna uses to kill people. He hijacked Vecna's control. The Duffer Brothers explained that Will doesn't have powers inside himself like 11 does. He's channeling Vecna's powers through the hive mind. It's proximity-based. Will can only use these abilities when he's near the Upside Down or its creatures, but that's still incredibly useful for the final battle. If Will and 11 work together, they create a two-pronged attack. 11 fights Vecna directly with her own psychic powers while Will disrupts his control over the army. Without Demogorgons, Demobats, and Vines backing him up, Vecna becomes way more vulnerable. He loses his main advantage. There's also evidence that Will can control more than just monsters. The hive mind includes everything connected to the Upside Down, the particles, the atmosphere, maybe even the dimension itself. If Will learns to expand his reach, he might shut down entire sections of the Upside Down. He could cut off Vecna's access to his power source. And without the hive mind feeding him energy, Vecna would weaken significantly. That's when 11 strikes and finishes him. But Will's powers come with massive risk. The connection works both ways. When Will taps into the hive mind, Vecna can sense it. He knows Will is there. And Vecna could potentially use that connection to possess Will again, like he did in Season 2. If Vecna takes over Will's body while Will is using hive mind powers, that would be catastrophic. Vecna would have full control over Will's abilities and could destroy the group from the inside. So Will needs to be strategic. He can't just spam his powers constantly. He needs to use them at moments when Vecna is distracted or weakened, and the group needs a way to protect Will from being possessed, which leads us to the next method. In Season 4, the group discovered that music can break Vecna's psychic hold. Max was about to die. Vecna had her in a trance, breaking her limbs one by one. But Dustin, Lucas, and Steve played Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush, and Max escaped. The music connected her to happy memories, which gave her strength to resist the curse. Victor Creel survived the same way in 1959 by hearing his favorite song on the radio. Music works because it influences parts of the brain that connect to emotions and memories. When someone is trapped in Vecna's mind prison, they're cut off from reality. They're drowning in fear and trauma. But music acts as an anchor. It reminds them of who they are, what they love, and why they need to keep fighting. It creates a pathway back to the real world that Vecna can't block. Season 5 could use music in a much bigger way. Right now, 12 kids are trapped in Vecna's mindscape, including Holly Wheeler. Max is also still there, and she's been teaching the kids how to resist. If the group can figure out a way to broadcast music into Vecna's mind prison, they could wake up all 13 kids at once. Imagine 12 children and Max all breaking free from Vecna's control simultaneously. They'd create chaos inside his mind. They'd disrupt his concentration. They'd break his his focus on maintaining control over the Upside Down, and that distraction might give Eleven and Will the opening they need to attack his real body while he's vulnerable. But music alone isn't enough to kill Vecna. It only works as a temporary escape from his curse. Once the music stops, he can grab his victims again. And Vecna himself isn't affected by music because he's not trapped in anyone's mind. He's the one creating the trap. So music is a tool for freeing victims and creating distraction, not for hurting him directly. Fire and heat. This is the most reliable method that's been proven to work. Vecna is weak to fire. All creatures from the Upside Down are. In Season 4, Steve threw Molotov cocktails at Vecna while Nancy shot him with a shotgun. They set him on fire and he clearly struggled, his body burned, he screamed in pain, he fell out a window and barely escaped with his life. Fire damages him in ways that bullets and psychic attacks don't. The reason fire works is because the Upside Down is a cold dimension. Everything there thrives in low temperatures. Heat disrupts the hive mind's biology. In Season 2, Joyce, Jonathan, and Nancy used heat to burn the mind flayer out of Will's body. They turned up the temperature until Will was sweating and shaking, forcing the particles to leave. The same principle applies to Vecna. Fire weakens his connection to the Upside Down. It damages his mutated body. Season 5 showed us that the military is preparing for a major assault. They have flamethrowers, they have explosives, they're planning to burn Vecna alive. If they can corner him in the Upside Down and hit him with sustained fire from multiple directions, they might finish what Nancy and Steve started. The key is making sure he can't escape. He's slippery. He retreats whenever he's hurt. So they need to trap him somewhere before lighting him on fire. But there's a major problem. Vecna survived fire once already. In Season 4, he was literally engulfed in flames, shot multiple times, and thrown out a window. He should have died, but he didn't. He crawled away, healed, and came back stronger. Which means fire alone isn't enough. You need to combine it with something else. Maybe fire plus 11 psychic attack. Maybe fire plus cutting off his hive mind connection. Maybe fire plus trapping him where he can't regenerate. The military's plan to use overwhelming firepower might work if they coordinate it with the psychics. Burn his body while 11 attacks his mind, while Will disrupts his powers. Hit him from 3 different angles at once so he can't defend against all of them. That's a strategy with actual potential. In Dungeons & Dragons lore, which Stranger Things has always used as a guide, Vecna is usually defeated by imprisoning him somewhere he can't escape from. The heroes don't kill him outright. They lock him away in a pocket dimension or magical prison where he's powerless, and that might be the best strategy for the show too. If the group can't destroy Vecna, maybe they can trap him. 11 could use her powers to banish him again, but this time to a dimension that's even more isolated than the Upside Down. A place with no gates, no way back, no connection to Earth. Vecna would be stuck there forever, unable to hurt anyone. It's not a perfect solution because he's still alive and could potentially find a way out eventually, but it buys humanity time. It keeps him away for decades or centuries while people rebuild. Another option comes from something Dr. Brenner used when Vecna was still Henry Creel. Brenner implanted a device called Soteria in Henry's neck. This tiny chip suppressed his psychic powers and tracked his location. It kept him under control for years until 11 removed it. If the group could somehow get another Soteria and implant it in Vecna, they could shut down his abilities. Without his powers, Vecna is just a mutated humanoid creature. He'd still be dangerous, but he wouldn't be a god anymore. He could be killed with conventional weapon. The problem is getting close enough to implant the chip. He's paranoid. He doesn't let anyone near him. His psychic powers mean he can sense people coming from a distance. The only way this works is if someone he trusts approaches him, someone he would inspect. And the only person who fits that description is Mac. She's been trapped in Vecna's mind since Season 4 ended. She's been hiding in his memories, learning his secrets. Vecna thinks she's powerless and broken. He doesn't see her as a threat. So, if Max can find a way to get close to Vecna's real body while he's distracted, she might be able to attach the Soteria, or she could guide someone else to do it. Either way, Max's position inside his mind makes her uniquely valuable for sabotage. Season 5 revealed something crucial. There's one place in Vecna's mind that he's absolutely terrified to enter, a cave in the woods from his memories. Max has been hiding there because Vecna won't go near it. The cave represents the moment when young Henry Creel first encountered the Mind Flayer in Dimension X. That experience traumatized him so deeply that even decades later, he can't face it. This cave could be the key to defeating Vecna psychologically. If Eleven or Will or someone else could force him to confront that memory, it might break him. He might realize the Mind Flayer has been controlling him all along. He might understand that he's not the master he thinks he is. He's just a puppet. And that realization could shatter his confidence and weaken his powers enough for the group to destroy him. The cave also hints at something bigger. Vecna thinks he's he's in control of the Upside Down, but Season 5 is making it clear that the Mind Flayer is the real threat. Vecna shaped the Mind Flayer into its spider form, but the Mind Flayer existed long before he arrived. It's an ancient entity from Dimension X. It's pure evil consciousness, and it's been using Vecna to spread its influence, which means killing Vecna might not be enough. The group might have to destroy the Mind Flayer too, and the only way to do that is by severing its connection to both the Upside Down and Dimension X. Close all the gates, cut off its access to the real world, force it back into the void where it came from. If the Mind Flayer is gone, Vecna loses his power source. He becomes a regular monster instead of an unstoppable god. The cave might be a literal portal to the past or to Dimension X. If that's true, the group could use it to go back to the source and prevent the Mind Flayer from ever reaching Henry in the first place. It's risky and could create time paradoxes, but it might be the only way to truly end the threat permanently. Season 5 brought back one of the most underused characters in the series, Kaylee, also known as 8. She's another test subject from Hawkins' lab with psychic powers. Her ability is creating illusion. She can make people see things that aren't real. Hallucinations, false environments, fake threats. 11 met Kaylee in Season 2 and they bonded over their shared trauma. But Kaylee disappeared after that episode and fans thought she was gone forever. Now Hopper and 11 found her imprisoned at the military base in the Upside Down. The military was keeping her locked up for unknown reasons, probably to use her powers for their own purposes. Now that she's free, she could become a major weapon against Vecna. Think about how her powers work. Vecna relies on fear and psychological torture. He invades people's minds and shows them their worst nightmares. But what if Kali invades his mind and shows him false visions? What if she makes him see threats that don't exist? Kali could create an illusion of the Mind Flayer turning against Vecna. She could make him think his entire army is rebelling. She could show him visions of his own death over and over until he's so paranoid and confused that he can't focus on the real fight. Illusions are perfect for disrupting someone who depends on mental clarity and control, and Vecna is exactly that kind of villain. Combine Kaylee's illusions with 11's raw power and Will's hive mind control, and you've got a 3-person psychic team that could overwhelm him. Kaylee confuses him. Will cuts off his access to reinforcements. 11 delivers the killing blow. That's a strategy that actually has a chance of working. 3 different types of psychic abilities all attacking at once from different angles. Vecna can't defend against all of them simultaneously. The beauty of this approach is that each person covers the other's weaknesses. 11 is strong, but she gets exhausted. Will can control the hive mind, but he's vulnerable to possession. Kaylee creates illusions, but she can't physically hurt Vecna. Together though, they're a complete package. Distraction, disruption, and destruction all happening at the same time. Vecna is using 12 kidnapped children as psychic batteries to amplify his power. He's connected them to the hive mind. He's pumping them full of Mind Flayer particles. They're literally fueling his invasion. Their bodies are attached to spires in a massive flesh wall, while their consciousness is trapped in his mindscape. But this plan has a fatal flaw that Vecna doesn't see coming. If all 12 kids figure out how to resist his control the way Will did, they could turn against him. Will proved in episode 4 that anyone connected to the hive mind can potentially hijack it. He took control of 3 Demogorgons and killed them. If 12 children did the same thing simultaneously, Vecna would lose everything in an instant. His army would turn on him, his power would drain away, and he'd be left defenseless. Max is already teaching the kids how to resist from inside the mind prison. She showed Holly that Mr. Whatsit is actually Vecna in disguise. She explained that the beautiful Creel house they're seeing is a lie. She's been hiding in the cave where Vecna can't reach her, and she's learning his patterns and weaknesses. If Max can wake up all 12 kids and teach them to use the hive mind connection like Will does, they become an army of psychics working against Vecna. Imagine the scene. Vecna is fighting 11. He thinks he's winning. His Demogorgons are closing in on the group, and then all 12 kids wake up at once. Their eyes go white, they join hands, and they take control of every creature in the Upside Down. The Demogorgons stop attacking, the vines retreat, the Demobats fall from the sky. Vecna realizes too late that his perfect vessels just became his worst nightmare. This method also solves the moral dilemma. Some fans worried the group might have to kill the kids to weaken Vecna, but turning them into allies is way better. It saves their lives and uses Vecna's own plan against him. He thought children were weak and easy to control, but he underestimated them, just like he underestimated 11 when she was a child, just like he underestimated Will. His arrogance is his downfall. The clock is Vecna's calling card. Every victim sees it before they die. It chimes 4 times representing the 4 gates. But why a clock specifically? Clocks measure time. They represent inevitability. Death comes for everyone eventually. But what if the clock is more than symbolism? What if it's an actual object that Vecna uses to channel his powers? The The grandfather clock in the Krill house might be an anchor point, a physical object in the real world that Vecna is connected to. Throughout the series, we've seen that supernatural entities need anchors to maintain their presence. The Mind Flayer needed Will as an anchor in Season 2. The Demogorgon needed the Gate as an anchor in Season 1. Maybe Vecna needs the clock. If the group destroys that clock, they might weaken his influence over Hawkins. It's worth trying. Smash the clock. Burn the Krill house to the ground. Cut off every connection Vecna has to the real world. Force him to stay trapped in the Upside Down with no way to reach Earth. Even if it doesn't kill him, it limits his power and makes him easier to fight. The clock also appears in Vecna's victims' visions. It's part of the psychological torture. He uses it to count down to their deaths. But if the physical clock is destroyed, maybe those visions lose their power. Maybe victims can resist the curse more easily. Maybe the countdown stops working. It's a small thing, but in a fight against someone as powerful as Vecna, every advantage matters. In Season 4, Hopper used a sword to behead a Demogorgon. That's significant because Demogorgons are part of the hive mind. When Hopper killed that creature, it weakened everything else connected to Vecna. The vines stopped moving, the Demobats fell. Even Vecna himself felt the impact. So maybe the key to killing Vecna is direct decapitation. Get close enough to cut his head off before he can regenerate or escape. It sounds simple, but it's incredibly dangerous. Vecna would never let anyone get that close. His psychic powers mean he can sense threats from a distance. He can lift people with his mind. He can snap bones. He can kill someone just by looking at them. Approaching him with a sword would be suicide unless you had multiple distractions happening at the same time. But if the group coordinates properly, it could work. Eleven and Kaylee attack him psychically to keep him occupied. Will disrupts his control over the hive mind so no monsters can help him. The military hits him with fire to weaken him, and while he's overwhelmed trying to defend against all these threats, someone like Hopper or Steve or Jonathan gets close with a sword and takes his head off. One clean strike, no regeneration, no coming back. Vecna would be permanently dead, his body would collapse, the hive mind would shut down. The Upside Down would lose its leader. It's brutal, but it's effective. And after everything Vecna has done, after all the people he's killed, he doesn't deserve a peaceful death. He deserves to be ended the same way he ended his victims, violently and without mercy, starving him of victims. Vecna draws power from death. Every time he kills someone, a gate opens. Every gate makes him stronger. Every victim feeds his connection to the real world. So what if the group stops giving him victims? What if they evacuate Hawkins completely, leaving the town empty? No people means no victims. No victims means no new gates. No new gates means Vecna can't expand his power. He'd be stuck in the Upside Down with only the power he already has, slowly weakening over time as his connection to Earth fades. It's a long-term strategy that requires patience. The government would have to keep Hawkins quarantined for years, maybe decades. They'd have to prevent anyone from entering. This method won't kill Vecna quickly, but it contains him. It stops him from growing stronger, and it buys humanity time to figure out a more permanent solution. Eventually, his power would fade enough that a direct assault becomes possible. Or maybe he'd just waste away, trapped in a dimension cut off from everything he needs to survive. The downside is that this approach means abandoning Hawkins. The town would have to stay empty forever. Everyone who grew up there would lose their home. All the memories and history would be left to rot. For a show about fighting to protect your home and your community, that's a really sad ending. But it might be the safest option if nothing else worked. Some fans think Eleven might try to save Vecna instead of killing him. She knows that he was once Henry Krill, a boy who was abused and experimented on, just like she was. They both suffered under Dr. Brenner, they both developed powers they didn't understand. The difference is that Eleven chose love and connection, while Henry chose hatred and isolation. Maybe Eleven could reach the part of Henry that's still human. Maybe she could show him that revenge and destruction won't heal his pain. Maybe she could convince him to stop fighting and let go of his hatred. If Vecna had a moment of clarity and chose to redeem himself, he might use his powers to close the gates permanently from inside the Upside Down. He could sacrifice himself to undo all the damage he's caused. It would be controversial, but it fits with Stranger Things themes about trauma and healing. The show has always emphasized that victims of abuse don't have to become abusers themselves. 11 proved that you can survive terrible things and still choose kindness. Maybe Henry could learn that too, even at the very end. The problem is that Vecna has killed too many people. He murdered his family. He killed dozens of kids at Hawkins' lab. He killed Chrissy, Fred, Patrick, and temporarily Mac. He's responsible for Bob's death, Billy's death, Eddie's death, and countless others. Redemption doesn't erase all that. Most viewers would feel cheated if he gets a sympathetic ending after everything he's done. So while redemption is possible, it's probably not the direction the show will go. The cave in Vecna's mind might be more than just a scary memory. It might be a literal portal to the past. In the stage play The First Shadow, we learn that in 1943 a secret government experiment went wrong and sent a ship to Dimension X. The only survivor was Dr. Brenner's father, who came back completely changed. This event inspired Brenner to spend his life creating a gateway to Dimension X. Season 5 has been dropping hints about time travel. The Upside Down is frozen on November 6th, 1983, the day Will disappeared. Nothing in that dimension has updated since then. Some fans think this is because Will's presence created a time loop or temporal anchor. And if time travel is possible, the group might be able to use it to stop Vecna before he becomes a threat. Imagine if 11 went back to 1979 and prevented Henry from killing everyone at Hawkins' lab. Or if she went back to 1959 and stopped young Henry from entering the cave where he met the Mind Flayer. If you remove the key moment that turned Henry into Vecna, you could erase the entire timeline of evil. No Vecna means no Mind Flayer invasions, no gates opening, no death. Hawkins stays safe. Everyone lives. But time travel comes with massive consequences. Changing the past could create paradoxes. If Vecna never existed, then 11 never would have been sent to the Upside Down to fight him. Will never would have disappeared. The entire friend group might never have formed. They could erase themselves from existence by trying to save everyone. Time travel is a risky solution that could backfire horribly. There's also the possibility that Vecna himself is trying to use time travel. His mindscape is set in the 1950s. He's obsessed with his past. He might be planning to go back and change history so he never became a monster. Or he might want to go back and make himself even more powerful from a younger age. If Vecna gets access to time manipulation, he becomes nearly impossible to stop. The group would need to prevent him from achieving that goal. Throughout Stranger Things, love has been shown to be more powerful than hate. When 11 thinks about her mother saying "I love you," she gains strength. When Mike tells 11 he loves her, she finds the power to fight back. When Max thinks about her happy memories with friends, she breaks free from Vecna's curse. Love is the antidote to Vecna's evil because he doesn't understand it. Vecna rejected connection, he chose isolation and superiority. He can't comprehend why people would sacrifice themselves for others. So, the final battle might not be won through violence. It might be won through emotional strength. The group's love for each other, their willingness to protect each other, their refusal to give up on anyone. These are the things that make them stronger than Vecna. He's powerful, but he's alone. They're weaker individually, but together they're unstoppable. And that difference might be what tips the scales. Imagine the ending. Vecna has 11 pinned down. She's exhausted. Her nose is bleeding. She can't fight anymore. Will is trying to hold off the Demogorgons, but there are too many. Kaylee is running out of energy. The military is retreating. Everything looks hopeless. And then the 12 kids wake up. They join hands. They think about their families and friends. They channel that love into the hive mind. And suddenly Vecna starts screaming. He can't handle the influx of positive emotion. His entire being is built on hatred and fear. Love is poison to him. It burns him from the inside out. And as he weakens, 11 finds the strength to stand up one more time and deliver the final blow. That's the kind of ending Stranger Things deserves. Not just a physical victory, but an emotional one. Proving that hope and connection and love are stronger than any psychic power or monster. Vecna loses because he cut himself off from humanity. The kids win because they never stopped caring about each other. Here's the truth. No single method will kill Vecna. He's too powerful. He's survived everything thrown at him so far because people only attack one way at a time. Fire alone isn't enough. Psychic attacks alone aren't enough. Music alone isn't enough. You need to hit him with everything simultaneously. The ultimate strategy combines all these methods. 11, Will, and Kaylee attack him psychically from 3 different angles. The military hits him with fire and explosive. The 12 kids break free from his mind prison and turn his power against him. Max guides them to his weakness. Music plays to disrupt his concentration. Someone destroys the grandfather clock to cut his anchor to reality. Hopper moves in with the sword while Vecna is overwhelmed. Overload his defenses, confuse him with illusions, cut off his reinforcements, burn his body, attack his mind, and don't stop until he's completely destroyed. That's how you kill a god. Not with one miracle weapon, but with teamwork, strategy, and refusing to give up no matter how hopeless things look. Vecna has been winning almost every step of the way, but he's made one critical mistake. He underestimated his victims. He thought children were weak. He thought Will was broken. He thought 11 was just a tool. He was wrong about all of them. And that miscalculation is going to cost him everything. The Duffer Brothers said Season 5 will answer all the big questions. We'll learn what the Upside Down really is. We'll understand the relationship between Vecna and the Mind Flayer. We'll see how the story that started with Will's disappearance finally ends. Whether Vecna dies, gets trapped, or somehow redeems himself, his fate will determine the fate of Hawkins and everyone in it. Based on everything we've seen, the most likely scenario is a combination ending. Vecna will be defeated through teamwork. Every single character will contribute something. They'll use fire, psychic powers, music, the hive mind, illusions, and pure determination to bring him down. And when he finally falls, the Upside Down will collapse, the gates will close, the Mind Flayer will be cut off, and Hawkins will finally be safe, but that safety will come at a cost. People will die in the final battle, sacrifices will be made, and even after Vecna is gone, the survivors will carry the trauma of everything they've been through. That's the reality of war. Victory doesn't erase the pain, it just means you survived to see another day. So what's the answer? What's the one true way to kill Vecna? There isn't one. It's all of them. Every method working together, every person fighting with everything they have, every moment of love and courage and sacrifice building toward a single goal. Destroy the monster, close the gates, save the world. That's how you kill Vecna. Not with one solution, but with all of them at once. A united front against evil. Because that's what Stranger Things has always been about. Together, the kids of Hawkins are unstoppable. Apart, they're vulnerable. So they'll face Vecna together, and together, they'll win.